All right, everybody, welcome back to TitTok. I know I say I'm always so excited, but I'm really, really so excited today to have Isabella James here.
Hey, thank you. I'm so honored. Met you last year and made a couple TikToks and stuff, but like I just love your energy. And even though it's kind of a weird experience that we all had of how we met, I'm glad it happened. So happy to be here.
Me too. The Barbie TikTok that we made was my first one to get 1 million views.
Oh, my heart. I love that.
That's all thanks to you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just kidding. No,
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. It was super cute. It was like that's what I love about TikTok, where it's like honestly, nothing in the world's really original. We're all kind of doing the same shit, but it's just the energy that you put behind it, and it's also like you never fucking know if it's gonna hit off or not. So
I know. I was talking to another creator this week and I'm like, all we do is like copy each other. I was like, nothing is actually like original anymore. Sometimes it is, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes in making something go viral. And it's just, it's almost like you're telling somebody there's no Santa Claus when you tell them this. Like you're ruining the magic of viral videos for people.
it's the same stuff with like spicy content, man. At the end of the day, it's all this or that or something, but it's really like the energy that we bring into it and the way that our, supporters and stuff are able to resonate with us.
Absolutely. And that is one of the reasons I want to talk to you because I think you have such a unique perspective on how you coach other women to have like a positive mindset about this world that we're in because you don't hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an important part of what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I love coaching, and sometimes I've battled myself with it and everything. But at the end of the day, like I love, showing girls that like, yeah, cool, here's some tactics you can use, whatever, buy some promo. But I'm like, it's really like it is the mindset behind it because it's like you can sit here and make a bunch of money and be miserable, or it's like you can sit here and make a bunch of money and have fun doing it. Because at the end of the day, no matter where you are at, like mentally with like what we do, it's like fucking draining, like it's not even just like being influencer and stuff like that in general, like the energy exchange on the internet, but it's like, and then add sex to it, so it's like it at the end of the day, even if like millions of people or whatever are seeing like our lady bits, like it's still very intimate. Like it's still like an intimate experience. So it's like being able to have that mindset that like to me it's like really about like connecting with the viewer and like creating that like intimacy within that. And I love with like OF and all these other platforms that it's not just, on the hub or something.
Right.
It's like we're especially being able to chat and make that connection and like make content that like it actually make people feel good and not just like, oh fuck, I just like, fapped to this like random like studio shit, it's like, well, this is something that like, like I actually am like can be, chatting, participating in, or at least something that's like, oh wow, like this could have actually been like me and my girlfriend or something, like more that
Right.
like connection.
I totally relate to that. And I think it's always interesting because, like, everybody, you kind of like get to know people in the world. You make your sort of like digital friends. And I always am curious, like, well, what did you do in your former life? Because everyone has such a different background. And I love for people to know that, like, literally anybody can do this. It might not be for everybody, but literally everyone can do this. So, what did you do before the world of, fan sites and
Oh,
Instagram modeling?
yeah. So yeah, I love because you shared what you used to do. I'm like, that's hot though. Like, because I'll be real, like I because you're like from corporate, which I know you've shared before.
Yeah.
And so like I love that. Me, I've been kind of hoeing for a while.
I love how honest you are. You're like,
Hoeing, No, but okay, so before that though, I honestly, like, I just did, like, really basic ass, like, I think my first job, was, like, Quiznos, and then, like, I did, what was it? Sales calls. So, like, literally, though, the first job I ever got fired from was, like, a call center, which was just, like, it's a numbers game, no, it wasn't anything really personal, but it was, like, such a just, like, weird time in my life that I was like so depressed, and like literally I became an entrepreneur after that. I was like, I'm not dealing, and it wasn't like at that time where I'm just like, fuck this, I'm never doing this, and I became some like successful CEO. Absolutely not. A lot of trials and tribulations, but I realized from that point, like it was so disturbing to me that like, oh wow, like just because like I wasn't making the numbers that you wanted, like my livelihood was taken basically, and like I was like a struggling college student at the time. And so like I literally went and did the only like studio porn that I've ever done. I don't want to say professional porn because it definitely was not professional, but I'm like, and I'll be real, because I needed to make rent money, and that was the first adult thing I ever did. And it's so wild because I look back at it, and it was like, it's like probably one of the most hardcore things that I've done, and then like going forward from that, I, did cam and stuff like that, and, did the dancing and sugar daddies and stuff like that, and did that for a couple years. And then 6 years ago, I got into like the online world because I didn't want to do like in-person stuff anymore. Like I was like, I'm such like, even though I'm a performer, like being like one-on-one with people, I'm like, I was like the worst sugar baby ever. Like, cause I'm like, I'm not gonna pretend I fucking like you, dude. Like you're annoying.
I can, it's so funny because it's like, even people will be like, well, what do you do all day? I'll be like, I spent 2 hours on TikTok, and then I did like 2 hours of podcast interviews, and I'm exhausted. And they're like, so you did 4 hours of work today and you're exhausted? I'm like, all I do is people all day long, like for 4 hours straight, nonstop. Like,
it's different than like, because I know you worked corporate, or even like dude working at McDonald's. Like, a lot of people say like, they probably like, oh, I'm all people, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm here with my cat, but I'm like, no, but like the energy exchange is so different. Like I said, when it's performing and when it's sexual and everything, like it's way different. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I felt today, I was like, damn, I just did like 2 hours of stream, and of course I'm like chatting on my sites and stuff like that, but I'm like, damn, I feel like tired today. But it's like, yeah, in reality, I'm like, how much work did I do? But I'm like, I did do a lot of work.
It is, and it's so interesting because it's like, I never realized I was an introvert until I like had a crazy job in entertainment, and I had to like, I mean, like you were on all day, like 12 hours. And, I can see like when we do our like content events and stuff, it's like, you're still shooting long days, and like, it's, it's still draining, but like, you're not doing that constantly. You're not doing that like every week. Most people, I think. So yeah. It's like, it is the same time energy, sort of like, it's like you are spending your time and your energy and your mental capacity, engaging with people. So I love it. I really do. This is honestly like the best and easiest job I've ever had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it does have, it's like everything. I don't want to say everything is like has its negative and has its positive, but it's like, with all of that, it's like we have to learn how to like take care of ourselves as well, and like on the other side, so we don't burn out, and have the self-care, which everyone needs in general, but like especially with us. And like it's like I've noticed too, it's like I've been going live on my OF now, and it's like I love it, but it's like afterwards, it's kind of like, it's kind of like you're high and then you just like drop.
Yeah.
Tension, like, and then it's like you come, and then you're just like, and then I'm like, wow, it's really quiet here.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. I know people, I'm like such an old lady. I'm like, I don't work past 10 o'clock at night, and people are like, really? I was like, no. I'm like, if you want to chat with me, I'm like, you can make it happen before that. Like it's like you have to have your boundaries is the way to say it.
Absolutely.
So at what point for you did it click that you were like, this is being an entrepreneur. This is my business that I'm building. And like, when did you see the potential of like really what you are now?
Oh, I love that. So I started doing StreamMate originally, and was doing like femdom stuff. And then I was introduced to Snapchat, and I was like, wow, I'm like, I can make a lot more money doing like quote vanilla stuff, which is
Right.
what I call basically like, main stuff that isn't like femdom.
Right.
So I realized I'm like, wow, I can make a lot more money doing this, and I'm not having to exchange so much like one-on-one energy. I was just like kind of
Mhm.
doing whatever and like selling my Snapchat subscription. So I did that, I think, for like 2 years before I got like really serious about it, because I was like, damn, some of these girls are making hella money. Like, like
Mhm.
I can make this money too. So I really got into like marketing and stuff like that. And that's when I like really started taking like my business more seriously. And I saw that there's like so much more potential. And then even with like OF, I mean, I went through like a 6-month period that I kind of was just chilling because I was having my spiritual awakening. It was just like,
Mhm.
I'm going to focus my energy on that and just, do what I need to do to like get by. But then and I've shared this before, other places, like did ayahuasca, and I had this like
Whoa, that's cool.
thing that was like, you should like, if you focus on OF, it's gonna change your life. And I was like, okay, let's go, because
That's
I was
amazing.
making like a couple $1,000s a month, just like kind of fucking around on it, and I was only on it because all the Snap girls were on it. So they're like, oh, okay. I
Right.
was like, I guess, something else I have to do. Like, at that time I was just like not like wanting to do it at all. But then, I found that everything is a spiritual practice. And,
Mhm.
not that I ever was like felt like a martyr or anything like that, even when I was in it, where I'm like, oh, I need to stop doing this. But I'm like, it just wasn't resonating with me at the time. But then
Yeah.
I'm like, no, like this is like my job, and like this is what I'm meant to do at this point in time, and I
Mhm.
have so much more potential with it. And like, if I'm not gonna like quit doing it, then like let's fucking go.
Yep.
So it took me, like 2 months to really like get in a groove and like start doing better,
Mhm.
and then it just like kept like, skyrocketing and all of that. But I mean, like, back to like the CEO, it's like, even, like it's been like 2 years I've been making like really good money, but it's still like I have the moments where I'm like, okay, I need to find a new site to, do payroll for my
Mhm.
employees. I'm like, damn, like I really am like a fucking CEO, or like, oh, like let me
Mhm.
talk about all this stuff for my 401k and like all this shit. Like, people like literally think that we're just like sitting around like fucking off. And I'm like, no, like this is like real shit.
You have to figure out a lot, that's for sure. Once you hit a certain point, we're like, oh, this isn't just like fun money anymore. This is actual like 6-figure plus incomes. Like, you have to figure out, like, you have to turn it into a little business. So it's always like so interesting because it's like that's the part where like shit can fall apart, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't do that, then like and invest back in your business and do it, then you're putting it at risk. And it's like not everybody can do that. So good job that you got
Yeah,
it together.
it's interesting because it's like there's the girls that, are making even like twice as much money as I do, and they're not traveling or doing anything because they want to work all the time and make the money, but then they're spending, $1 million, literally almost $1 million in taxes, when they could have,
Mhm.
utilized some of that for write-offs. And then there's the girls that are like, oh, I just spend all my money. Like, I like, it stresses me out having to buy promo in advance. And I'm like, are you gonna be okay? You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn. I'm like, I'm like, I feel bad when I'm like, oh, I just like wish I was like putting more money away right now. But I'm like, it's better for me to like invest in my company, because it's all sales. That's what it is. It's like, it's a fucking business, and there's so much to it. And I know there are a lot of girls that just kind of fucking wing it, and like, good for them. But I'm like, so I tell everybody, I'm like, you gotta treat it like a business. Like, I have a girl that I'm going to be coaching soon, and I usually only coach girls that are like doing very well, or at least
Mhm.
obviously are like in it. But she like just started her page, and I already like, she's canceled a couple times. She asked me if like her
Mhm.
boyfriend could go on instead of her. I was like, no, like that's not
Mhm.
how this works. And like, honestly, if it doesn't work out this next time, I'm just going to refund her money, because and this is what I see a lot happens, it's like, and I mean, I kind of get it. When I had Snapchat and I, started making money, like I wasn't saving any money at all. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm getting braces, I'm getting boobs, like let's go, like let's buy this fucking $500 stripper pole, like,
Love
like whatever, But it's like, you are making such little money a lot of times, a lot of us at fucking
it.
whatever fuck off job, and then you're making like thousands of dollars in a week, and it's,
Right.
you can make so much more money, but like that's so much money to someone, you know, like that was with me, like I never had that before. So it's like you kind of have to get that like out of your system though, and then be like, okay,
Yeah.
like if I really want to sustain myself, like I need to think about this long term and not just like a grab bag.
Exactly. I usually tell people like I'm in this for the long game. Like my experience was just like slow and steady, like slow, steady. And that's not a lot of people. They do have start an OnlyFans or and a month later they're making like 50 grand. And I'm like, well, that's not gonna happen every single month. If it does, God bless you, good for you. Like that's amazing. But for other people, it's like just slow. You've got to keep at it and you cannot get discouraged with it. But I agree with you. You've got to take it seriously. And that's great if your boyfriend or your husband is part of it and wants to be supportive of you. But like, this is your thing, honey. You've got to know how it works and make the decisions for yourself.
Yeah, cause yeah, like what if you guys aren't together forever? Or like I just got like I get like real trafficky vibes whenever I hear that kind of shit. Or I'm like they can be there, you know. Like
Yeah.
I had a girl that she didn't speak English, so you know her boyfriend was there to translate and everything. But it was like a really good energy. But I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm just talking to your boyfriend, you know. Like that's
Right.
to me, you know. But it's like, and to me, it's like I did have a management company for a while, and I didn't like how it was ran, and I cut off from it. And I'm like, I'd rather it's the same thing where it's like, you know, give someone a fish or like teach them how to
Yep.
fish. I'm like, I'd rather teach girls how to fucking fish, and like that's so like and empower them and be like, you can do this. Like, you know, shout out to everyone who has a fucking management company and like, you know,
Mhm.
however you want to do it. But I'm like, that's just not my vibe. I'm like, you can do this yourself. Like, I don't want to say it's not that hard because there is a lot to it. But like, if you really want to get the most out of it, like you need to do it yourself.
There's a lot of different ways I think people can build their businesses. And I think you do, to your point, you just got to try things. Just try some different things to figure out what works for you. Like I definitely like 6 months ago, I was like, I'm not going to travel every month anymore. This is exhausting. And I just feel like this is not where I need to be spending my money and my energy. And guess what? Like I doubled my money, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But I had to make that really tough choice and just be like, this is going to work. This is the right thing for me to do. And you have to find that sort of balance for yourself. And then like, cast a wide net, try all the things and then refine on to what really works for you.
Yeah, the key to success is failure. And you know, so many people don't like that, but it's like if you don't fail, then you don't know what works for you. And it
Mhm.
is like, and that's the thing, the market's constantly changing, and there's just like so much, you know, and it's taking that vulnerability too of like, oh, like this isn't working for me. So, but that's okay. Not like, you know, a lot of people tend to just like wallow in their fucking pity of like, but dude, like get the fuck, like move the fuck on, you know, like at the end of the day, like that's not gonna help you. It's what you can learn from the situation. Just, I mean, business, relationships, everything.
I know the scary thing I did, and it definitely my management company was concerned.
Mhm.
I deactivated every free trial I'd ever given out and was like, screw it. We're rebuilding from scratch. This is not
Oh, wow.
working. But it worked. But it worked. It was like the best decision I ever made.
Really? I love that.
It was very risky when
Like,
I
even though you have management, you're like, you got to do, and that's the thing. Like, I have like nothing at sometimes, you know, I'm like, man, I love you know, my assistants and stuff like that. But sometimes I'm like, damn, I wish I just could like, here, fucking, you take care of it kind of thing. But it's like, it's even if you have other people help, you know, it's like I have a lot of I have, you know, even like a management team for my Twitch and stuff like that, like just like a lot of like intel. But it's like at the end of the day, like this is still my show. And like if I don't feel like something's working, like I don't want to be working with people that are not gonna like work with me how I want to create and express myself.
100%. 100%. I've always sort of looked at this as like, I try to be genuine and be myself, but there's also a little bit of like playing a character and behind the scenes. There's absolutely, there's some things that have to happen for you all to see, Erika Love live and in person.
Yeah, exactly. And it is that like finding that beauty in like, you know, your authenticity, but like it is a performance. It's like, you know, Paris Hilton, Marilyn Monroe, you know, like we all are like our own person, but it's like we're here to entertain. So it's like, yeah, I am gonna, hi, I'm Isabella James, like there's always that like essence to it. And that's what makes it so fun.
I totally think we're entertainers. I know that's sort of weird, but I'm like, no, we're entertainers, we're influencers. There's this like sort of unique blend of like all of it. And it is super fun, to be honest. If you like 10 years ago, there weren't fan platforms, but did you always kind of want to be like a celebrity? Is that the path you saw yourself going on? Or were you just like, I'm just going to follow and see where this road takes me?
So yeah, so interesting because when I was younger, like I always like I'm like, oh, I want to I'm like, oh, I want to be a model. I'm like, but because I always had like kind of big naturals or whatever. And I'm like, my boobs are too big. And like now I think back of this is like cringy, but I remember my stepdad being like, oh, well, look at Anna Nicole Smith. And I'm like, okay, but like I always, yeah, I'm like, so I get where he's come from with that. But I'm like, I probably shouldn't have been having that conversation with him.
It's a different. It was a different time. It was a different time when social norms were a little different.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I'm like, no weird vibes with him at all with that, but it was just like very much like a more of a friendship kind of friendship we had. But just in general, like it's never like and even now it's like I don't want to be famous to be famous. It's like I do want to grow my brand and have more exposure because I truly believe that like my purpose is to spread like my truth about, just like healing ourselves to people that wouldn't normally be looking for it, such as like horny guys, like I could be sitting here and be like a fucking spiritual influencer and I know anything I put my mind to I'd be great at, but it's like I'd rather be like dropping the seeds to people that aren't like expecting that. I'm like, you came for the thirst traps and you fucking left with some knowledge,
Right. Oh my God. I love that. It's so funny because like I must have a certain algorithm on TikTok because I look at the people doing Reiki live. I'm like, how are you doing Reiki to like 6,000 people watching you, right? Like I don't quite understand how that works, but I understand what you mean. It's like it's very unexpected, but people need that. People absolutely need that. And I've always thought like, you never know what you can learn when you're not looking for it, or find light in dark places when you're not even searching for it. And it's so funny that you mentioned ayahuasca before, because I'm like, I'm not like a big partier. I'm such a grandma, but if I was ever going to do anything again, that is what I would go and do.
Yeah. Where did you do it?
No, I would never have that. If I was going to, that is what I would choose for the like enlightenment part of it.
Yeah, I love that. But I'll tell you though, I mean, like I, got stuff out of it, but like I've gotten so much more out of just like having like a regular spiritual practice than that. And honestly too, the breath work. When I did it, like we did like crazy breath work sessions too, and I got more like out of the breath work and just like breath work in general. I was actually listening to a podcast today, like where people were saying like the same thing, because it's like you're really like breaking up this like trauma in your body, and like you can just like feel so much more when you do that, because it's like trauma is literally stored in our body, and it's like we can meditate, we can have therapy and stuff like that, but it's like literally like wired in. So it's like through like breath work, certain intentional movements. I mean, like obviously yoga and stuff, but there's like shaking and like tapping and stuff like that. And then I go to like spinal network therapy, which I literally call like the woo-woo chiropractor.
Oh, I've heard of this thing. Oh my God. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so it's like it's interesting because I'm going to a workshop later where it's like I've been doing it for a while, but I'm like I kind of just go and like let it happen. But like I'll literally just be like on my stomach and they're like doing shit, and like I'm in different positions, and it's like but like they literally do scans and stuff where it can show the difference, where it's like your posture or just like certain like the pressures in certain part of your spine and stuff like that. But it's like literally like rewiring your body to respond differently instead of like reacting to your trauma that's stored within you.
I'm so fascinated by all this. I do yoga. I've always been a fan of yoga. I mean, mostly for back pain, to be, it's
real.
I'm not a yoga professional. But for back pain, it's the best way for me to manage it. And yeah, oh gosh, it all sounds so interesting to me because I've definitely seen the videos where it's like, take a ball and put it here, do this with your hip, and you're gonna release. And I'm like, that sounds terrifying. Am I gonna start crying because I'm like rolling my right? I'm like, what's gonna be released? Like, you have no idea. But I agree with you 100%. Our bodies hold so much, and I think taking care of yourself is so important, even more so with what we do, because you do have a lot of people making comments about you constantly, and you seem like you have a pretty thick skin too.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, but there are moments where it's going to get you. You're just going to be like, like,
yeah, today me on Twitch where I just, like people are always saying ignorant shit on there, but today for some reason I was just like annoyed, where I was just like, I don't have to be here. Like, honestly, like I really don't think I make that like many. I haven't, like I just started a couple months ago, and I'm not like, the ROI isn't fucking wild or anything, where I'm just like, I'm like, I like it because I get to kind of just talk about what I want to, and it's not like sexualized. I mean, it's always sexualized. Come on, but it's like I'm cooking, I'm doing yoga, like I'm in the fucking hot tub or whatever, and we're just hanging out. And we talk about a lot of like esoteric shit. But I'm like, at the end of the day, like I don't like, I'm not even kidding. It was like 5 to 10 guys in the 2-hour period that were like said the same thing, like, oh, well, how do you wipe your ass with your nails? How do you like all this shit about my nails? And I'm like, dude,
oh my god.
Not like they've been the same length, they've been the same color for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? It was just like, what the fuck is in the like energy field of that today? But it's just like ignorant stuff where I'm just like, why are you saying this? But it's like the more we're exposed, like that's how it is. And it's like it's the same with TikTok, man. Like I literally cannot. Sorry guys, I cannot read my comment. Or like I was going before my last account, RIP, got shut down. I was going live pretty much every time I went live on Twitch. Yeah. And it was like literally would just be like fake, yeah. Just every single comment. And what's funny is I got kicked off a live one day for hateful speech. I said, I have hateful speech. The fuck I have hateful. I'm like, I'm over here talking about fucking literally like love and light and like self-development. And y'all fucking people are saying shit, but then I get banned. Like it's insane.
I've totally had that happen to me before too. And I'm like, I just ignore it. Like, I'm like thick skin, like there's a line there. And I'm just like block, like as much as I can. I have a good friend who's a moderator. But yeah, the amount of comments that we get. But I mean, if you've had big boobs your whole life, you're in a way you're kind of used to it and desensitized to it because we've heard it all. Like
exactly.
And even before the world of social media, I'm like, we've heard all the comments, guys. There's like literally nothing new that you can say to us.
It's like saying that like my boobs are big or like I have plastic surgery. It's like that's the thing. Like if you're gonna say something rude, at least get creative with it.
Oh my god. Yes. I say the same thing. Be funny. If you're funny, you'll get my attention, and like be unique.
Yeah, be unique. Exactly. Or it's just the same shit. Or it's like, or guys, if you write something and we don't respond, don't post it 5 other fucking times. Like obviously you don't want to respond to it. And like, guess what? It's our show, not your fucking show. So we can do whatever the fuck we want.
This is true. I will often say, you guys ask a lot of questions that I can't answer. So it's not that I'm ignoring you, but I literally cannot address these things here. Like it's
just, or it's like completely inappropriate, or it's just like, why would I want to answer that?
I know it is. Oh man, it's so fun to bond over this with somebody because I know everybody gets it, but being in the big boob category, it's always boob related. It's always, I agree with you. It's like sometimes you go live on a social media platform and it's like, I'm like, people are salty tonight. I'm like, what is up with what is in the universe that every single like comment? And I'm just like, I agree with you. It's hilarious.
I'm just cooking, guys. Calm down.
I know. I do the same things. I'll be like, I'm cooking, I'm doing yoga, I'm cleaning. For some reason, people really like me cleaning my home.
Do you chat still, or do they just watch you?
I chat. I'll chat, and I'll be like, oh, I've got to go, dust this corner, and then I'll come back.
I was doing that too before I got a new house assistant. I would because I had so much fucking laundry, and I was like, guess what, guys, we're folding laundry on stream.
Yes. Yes.
Look at mine.
I like to say that I do really boring things live all the time, but I just make it look good.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're there to experience us. And I think a lot of time it is too. It's like they see us in this whole like glam, kind of like curated thing. And it's like, it's kind of like the girlfriend experience. Like they just want to
Oh
see
yeah.
us, just doing normal shit.
Exactly. Yes, I am a Texas housewife. That's what I am, guys. That's what you're getting when you follow me and watch me. Oh my goodness. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about sort of your, spiritual bimbo brand. What can people expect if they come to you for sort of like the spiritual coaching?
So I don't do like actual spiritual coaching, and that's just because I'm a pricey bitch, to be honest with you.
I love it. I love it. Well,
I
that's more the mindset part where you're
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
well, I mean, so like I only coach other models right now, but because
okay.
I had a guy on, and I've had people ask me on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm open to it. I'm like, but honestly, $500 an hour, and they don't have that money. So I'm like, but my time's precious, and that's why I say that everything else. I'm like, I could be doing other stuff, and it's like, even though like I want to help people, at the end of the day, I also create my boundaries because there's still gonna there's the guys that just like want to get on a FaceTime with me, like that kind of thing. So it's like just having that high ticket price and also just knowing my worth. Like I know how much work I've done on myself and how much I can like truly help people. So that's why I just, I have like my YouTube and stuff like that where I share that energy. And then even like my Discord, we like, talk about a lot of just like high vibe stuff. But I mean, just in general, it's like I just kind of give my like free value out on social media because it's like I know that's like I'm meant to express my message. So yeah, right now I'm just coaching models, because I find I have passion in business coaching, but in like the spiritual coaching, it's like I have to find a space where I can find people that are going to be serious about it.
That makes a lot of sense. Have you ever coached a male creator?
No. I mean, I would be down to. I feel like I wouldn't be able to add as much value to them just because depending, I guess, where they are at in their journey, because it's like I don't have like the networking and stuff like that. But I mean,
Right.
I've in a friendly way talked to like some male creators and kind of given them like a little bit of advice. But it's like I know what works for me. It's the same thing as like if like a non-explicit creator came to me, like I would
Right.
help them. I'm like, but I don't feel like I'd be able to add as much value as I would to explicit because that's like my specialty.
No, I totally understand when people say, well, I don't want to show my face. And I'm like, well, they kind of want to see your pretty face. So you have to think about that. It's not that it can't be done. Plenty of people do it, but
Yeah, but it's a different, you got to do it differently,
yes, absolutely. Yeah, I ask about male creators because I definitely get asked guys will say, oh, I want to get into the business. How do I get into the business? Like, oh, I would love to work with you. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really work that way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, I just want to. As I get upset, like because I'm I've been single this last year, and since I've been doing YouTube and now Twitch, like I share kind of my little like dating stories, and I shared some stuff on Twitter the other day just about like some guys I'd slept with like recently, and this one person commented, and they're like, oh, because I was like saying, I was like, damn, I've been kind of slutty the last few months. I'm gonna get back to like my my sacred self. And they're like, oh, I wish I would have met you during this time so we could have had sex. I was like, I wouldn't just have sex with you. Like,
Right.
and, you know what I mean? And shout out to people that are just into that, but that's just not me. And just because I'm like, a fucking porn creator as well, like that doesn't mean like, I'm sorry guys, I say this in all my interviews, like I'm not fucking the plumber and the plumber's brother. And like, I'm sorry, it's a fucking fantasy, and I'll be real, and it's like, that's because that's like you guys want to fucking hear. It's called role play, and it's like
Yes.
shame. And there's the girls who are like, no, that's not your fucking brother, and you're disgusting for fucking saying that. I'm sorry. Like, and the fact that you don't feel like you have enough value that you have to like create this facade that you like, no, that's true. Well, even like my ex, he's like, don't tell them it's not your stepbrother. I'm like,
Well, I love that, first of all. That's definitely a supportive partner. And it's true. And it's, I'm single. People ask all the time. And they're like, people are always like, oh, I want to take you out on a date. How do I do this? How do I? And it's just sort of like, well, if you live in Austin, Texas, and you use any kind of dating app, you'll probably find me at some point. That's the best way to go about it. And then I mention OF on one of those apps and I get banned immediately.
Girlfriend. Yes.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know where I'm actually supposed to find people to date. And I'm like, I've been joking. I'm just going to make a boyfriend application, like online, like 12 questions.
Yeah, do e-date. I'm gonna start doing e-dates, on Twitch.
You might as well. Oh my goodness. Like, I just think it's so funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what it is, where it's just like, especially as like, we love you, but it's like, just because you love us doesn't mean that we like want to date you.
Right. And that doesn't mean that even if you are my boyfriend, that we're making content. Like, that's actually a lot of times. Oh my gosh. I have like a no content policy for like the first month.
Oh, okay. The first month. Well,
I'm like, I've got to make sure you're invested in this, and that for me to take the time to train you.
I think some guys, like I was talking, I'm not even kidding, it was like 72-hour romance. And I actually like hooked up with him, unfortunately in that time. And like, we were like fucking, and he was like, are you recording this? I was like, no. And he's like, you should be. And I was like, bro, this guy's just like really into the fantasy, Cause I was like, there's no, like, I gotta be fucking you a bit before we're filming, like, just to me,
different.
It's different. It's totally different. Like,
I have boyfriend, girlfriend intimacy. It's different.
Yeah, I don't want it to, as much as I love making content, like, yes, help me get that bag, honey. But it's like more so, it's like, it's different when you film, no matter, even though like, yeah, no, I'm not getting fucked the same when you're filming. Like, it's a fucking performance. There's fucking lighting. Like, you got to change positions. Like, the last tape I made, we had like hooked up the night before, and and I was like, hey, I thought we were gonna film. He's like, yeah, so you should have said something last night. I was like, no, why would I have? Like, that would have fucking, like, we were having a good time. Like,
I refer to some of the off-camera stuff as self-care. It's just self-care.
Yeah, we're allowed to enjoy it. And guys, we're not saying we don't enjoy filming, but it's a performance.
There's just, if you are not in the business and you don't have the experience doing it, that means I have to train you. And I just want to make sure you're going to stick around if I'm training you on how this is. And every guy thinks that they can do it. And then it's like things happen and you don't want to make people feel bad. So, like, like, I'm going to ease you into it. It's, oh my God. We could talk about this stuff forever, I feel like.
I know this. Yeah. One last story. This guy I had hooked up with, like, he, mentioned that he, like, basically like, oh yeah, I film having sex too. And I'm just like, dude, there's no way. Like, it was so like whack, and just the shit. Like, it was so weird. Like, everything. I was like, there's no way.
From behind when they're like,
girl, I don't even want to. At one point, he literally was saying in and out. And I was like, is this am I in like a fucking, like, is this a joke right now? I was like,
bad content out there kills me. I'm like,
I could not film with this guy. Like, there's no way. And that's what I'm saying, guys. It's like, it doesn't take that much. Like, we're not studio fucking performers where it has to be this like perfect fucking shot. But like, I don't know, man.
Don't like there's instructions.
Yeah, like, you can't ruin it.
Don't block me. Don't block the goods.
Don't talk.
Don't talk. No one wants to hear that. Yeah, exactly.
Breathe loudly. Like, let me just do my thing. Like, in general with having sex, like, obviously it's a collaboration. But okay, I just want to say, guys, if a girl's fucking riding you, unless you absolutely know what the fuck you're doing, just let her do her thing. Don't fucking ruin it, man. Just let us come. Like, come on. Like, please. Like, let's build the ego. Just let us be.
I feel like maybe like you're developing like a new coaching kind of thing here, like dating coaching for men. Like, like a whole nother business stream.
Yeah. Oh my God. People love me talking about that shit on my Twitter. Like, I'm always like, do you guys want to hear about another situation? Even today, they're like, oh, like, I'm like, dude, that wasn't even like a dramatic situation. That was like the least dramatic shit probably of like in the last year, you know? But it was still, cause like, I'm never trying to be like, haha, this fucking joke. Like, let's be toxic. But I'm like, no, there's always something to learn from these things, you know, where it's like, okay, like, even like, where were the red flags? Where was I gaslighting myself? And like, you know, because there's always stuff that we're like, oh, that's weird, but like, it's not that weird, you know, because we all want to be with somebody, you know, like at the end of the day, like we all want to have that connection. And then when we feel disconnected from ourselves because we're not like, you know, showing up for ourselves, where it's like, okay, like, no, that was fucking terrible. Why did I continue to see them?
Right. Oh my God. No, I totally agree. And it takes a while sometimes to learn those sort of patterns and habits with yourself. And I've had those experiences. And like, even, you know, like a couple weeks ago, I had told this guy I wasn't interested. He was super persistent and like asking me out again. And he wore me down. I know. And I was like, okay, I'll go out with you again. And then like, it got pushed to the next day and pushed to the next day because he kept giving me an out. He's like, do you still want to do today or tomorrow be better? It's like, oh, let's do tomorrow. And then finally I was like, I'm so sorry. I am like, I don't want to treat you like this. I've got to pull the plug. Like I should have stuck to my guns. The first time you just were so persistent and nice. You wore me down, even though I was not interested. When I went on a date with this man, he had an undisclosed mullet under his hat.
He was wearing a hat, like in the
hat. In all of his pictures, there was no mullet. And then he must have caught me looking at it because he's like, yeah, I got a mullet right now. I did it for a wedding. And I'm like, who is doing mullets for weddings? Like,
who? Like, okay, all my best men or whatever have to have fucking mullets. Like,
what? Something like that. Yeah, he was the best man. Yeah,
allegedly. Exactly. This is his story. Allegedly.
Right, exactly. So I was just no mullets.
Oh, and yeah, undisclosed. Like it's 2023. You gotta be transparent. What kind of hair you have?
Right, exactly. Because
I'm into older men. I don't know. I pause at that because I'm like, I'm trying not to be an older man because I've come to realize that older men that are single sometimes it's like for a fucking reason. Like,
this is true, but I do find that older men do more of the sort of typical gentleman things.
That's what I'm saying. They're seasoned.
Yes.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to discriminate against the hairline situation, but like, just don't be like, that's anything I tell everyone, be fucking confident. You know, even height. How do you feel about height?
I prefer tall, but the shorter you are, it's more like, I really like beards. Okay. So if you got like, I refer to it kind of as like the tight little surfer body. So if you're like 5'6", you got a sweet beard and a little tight ab surfer body. You know the guys I'm talking about because they're in California. Then I am like, oh, hello. And you're into what I've got going on? Yes, let's talk.
No, absolutely. Like, and that's what it's like. With height, it's like, I don't care if like you don't care, man, you know, because it's like, at the end, I just dated somebody very briefly I'm 5'1". This motherfucker was 6'5". I was like, that's too tall.
I love 6'5". Oh my God.
But that's like, it was cool, but it's like so fucking tall, man. Like,
oh my God. I know you're shorter than I am, and I'm barely 5'3". But I don't know what it is. It's like genetics or
like
something.
A protection thing.
Well, it's also like I worked in sports for a few years, so being around men that were like 6'5" became very normal for me at one point in my life.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I do like someone like, to me, like 6'2" is good. But I love me a short king too. Like at the end of the day, that shit's all like novel. You know what I mean? It's like really like the connection and like it's not even, you know, like, and that's what I realized too, where it's like, I personally, like, I have to date someone what is your thought? I have to date someone that honestly business owner, because I've tried to date men that made less money than me and they get fucking weird. And I know that was on them. That had nothing to do with like me and my income. But to me, it's like, I need somebody who's going to like motivate me to do better. And like, we can, you know, build together. But it's also like, I can't, like, I choose to not look at like what you can provide for me. And a lot of guys, like that tall ass dude, very successful lawyer, like all he like this fucker gave me like a $500 spa gift card after knowing him for like 3 days,
I
which
love
like
that.
thank you, but that's not normal. Like that's
That's
not
not
how.
normal. That's very sweet and thoughtful.
That's very like, and he's like, not, it wasn't a sugar daddy, but I'm like, that's very sugar daddy energy. But I realized I'm like, because he can't really provide, like, we would talk and like get along, but like all he really knew how to provide was like monetary. And I'm like,
Mm.
I need like emotional availability, bro. I need you to text me back within not ghost me for a couple fucking days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like,
I mean,
I bought you something. Like, no.
I like confidence goes a long way. I really do love a sense of humor. If you can make
Oh
me
yeah.
laugh, you're absolutely gonna like get me to warm up to you. And I mean, oh God, I so have a type, and I'm so attracted to like startup entrepreneur type
Okay.
guys.
Yeah.
And I am just like, God, you guys are like my kryptonite, and it's really bad. I shouldn't like you because you have no time. They have no time for a real relationship, and that's
Right.
like what gets me in trouble. Because I'm with you, like I'm laid back. I know you're busy, you're working, whatever, but like text me before you go to bed, or text me the next morning.
Oh
Like,
yes.
like I agree with you. Don't leave me hanging for a couple days, because that's
No way.
also you're not. You have absolutely no time for a relationship, and you're really just interested in one thing. And it doesn't matter how much money you make or how hot you are, we get so much attention and so many inquiries, I will say, that it's like, why are we going to, how are you going to keep our attention if you can't do the basic, like you're saying, emotional thing? It's basic respect,
Yeah.
honestly. It's
I'm
like,
sorry. Yeah. And like, I used to think, I'm like, oh, am I being needy? Like, no, like I'm just setting standards of like how you need to love me. I'm sorry if I like, if we are texting and you're getting my like intimate attention like that, there's no fucking way that you can't text me within a day. And I'm
right.
busy. Like, I'm not trying to hang out all the time
See,
either.
this is where we're setting the bar. It's like within a day, within a 24-hour period. That's all we're asking
That's
for.
it. Yeah, like that's not wild, and that's not even like, my therapist is like taking breadcrumbs or whatever, but it's like that is like the, like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you get a gold star, and be like, okay, that's like the least you could fucking do, bro, you know. And
Yeah.
this is like interesting too, because like, since I know you're on the dating app, so it's like I kind of just like got into this world, and it's like at first I'm like, oh, it's cool, like they want to like hang out right away, but I'm like, no, like that's kind of a red flag to me, where it's like, no, like we can talk on the phone, because I understand a lot of girls just kind of fuck off and don't ever want to meet up, but I'm like, no, like I need to talk on the phone with you and like get a vibe, and you have to like commit a couple days at least to me, to like
Yes.
chatting and seeing where we're at before like I actually hang out with you.
I agree. I like the phone call. I'm like old fashioned like that. I really like to have a phone
Yeah.
call and then maybe a FaceTime, because I'd like to be like, make sure I look good if we're gonna FaceTime. But yeah, it's like just like an extra level of screening, because then I will go on, like a simple date, and I'm like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting, or something will come out in that conversation that I didn't know, like undisclosed children. Like, tell me if you're a dad. We're at that age. Like, people have kids, but like I that's useful information for me.
Yeah.
To evaluate if I'm interested or not. So I agree with you. I like to have a little bit of get to know you before we actually go out. And honestly, like I live in Austin. Like, let's just go grab tacos. Like, it doesn't need to be anything expensive or crazy like at first, but I'm kind of like you. I think that a man should have the mindset that he's going to treat his lady, have the means and the mindset is the way that I like to say it. Because even when I did have a corporate job and I made six figures, I didn't want to date men that made less than me, significantly less than me.
Because it's not the monetary thing, it's the mindset thing. To me,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this guy's successful and like he's created all of this. I'm like, it's what took you to that point that is attractive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love talking to people and getting their stories, because I'm like, how did you get here to this point? Like,
Exactly. But it's so beautiful, like every exchange of energy, no matter like, boy, girl, what, of course I'm going to say it like that. But it's like you always learn something, you know, even if it's like these short relationships, but it's like also recognizing that like even if you did just like hang out with somebody you want or like you're talking, you stop talking, like it's okay to like kind of have that grievance period because it's like you were sharing that energy with that person. And it's like, I'm not saying like, girl, don't eat a fucking pint of ice cream and be like, oh, this guy ghosted me. Like, dude, fuck him. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like just like creating that space where it's like, oh, you know, why do I feel? Oh, yeah, because I literally was being intimate in connection with someone, even if you didn't sleep together or even hang out that much. And now that's ended. So it's like you have to like honor yourself to be like to go to the next space. Or like, cause I did it. I literally fucking slept with this dude. He was super toxic. I was literally like dating somebody before we, you know, like, I mean, I knew we weren't going to continue talking, but like literally on a FaceTime with another guy as this guy's like, you're fucking crazy kind of thing, and had the audacity to say, I think OnlyFans like fucked up your mentality or some shit. And I'm like, no, like you're literally super toxic and like gaslighting me and doing all this shit, you know? Anyways, talking to this other dude and then dating this other dude and realizing like I didn't even process that moment, even though like we weren't connected that long. Like I emotionally traumatized myself because I betrayed myself by like, but honestly, because having sex with him too quickly, you know. And it's like I love sluts, like do your thing and stuff like that, but personally like that's not like what served me, and I knew that that's like all he really wanted. And it's like, so, and I just went straight into something else, and like so that like trauma like came up, you know, even if it's just like such a short exchange of energy. It's like we're out here traumatizing ourselves sometimes by not showing up for ourselves.
No, and you have to take the time to think about these things. I totally agree with you. Dating and doing what we do is definitely a delicate balance because people make a lot of assumptions about us.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's plenty of
And
people huh?
And the boobs. If you have big boobs, you must be a slut, you know?
Oh yeah, story of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Okay, we've got to move on to the next the bonus feature interview. I'm gonna call it. This is when I am so happy though that we did this. And everybody, if you haven't already seen it, Bella's website is scrolling across the bottom. So go check it out and click the links in our bio so you can see the special bonus feature interview we're about to do.
Yes.
All right, we'll be back soon. Bye, y'all.